Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm your famous, friendly, family favorite fantasy football guy. And I wanted to get on here and talk about tonight's doubleheader for Monday Night Football. We got Tampa Bay at Detroit, and we've got Houston at Seattle. And it's an interesting slate here, guys. I don't find there to be enough salary to make the lineup that I really want. And it's actually really kind of been frustrating to try to find a lineup that I want here because of the salary. I actually tried to make a video already on it, and it just was all over the place. It took I was about 19 minutes in, and I just felt like it was too confusing. So I wanted to remake it, but try to be more straightforward with everything. But yeah, I'm gonna look at Baker Mayfield here. I think he's gonna be the chalkiest quarterback on the slate, and probably for good reason. The Lions are 22nd against the quarterback. They're 17th against the pass, but Baker Mayfield has averaged 21.6 fantasy points a game, and I just think he'll be able to put up some points against these Lions. I, for one, am going to go with Jared Goff as my quarterback, I believe. He's averaged 18.9 fantasy points a game, and I like his matchup better. So, Buccaneers are 25th against the quarterback. They're 21st against the pass. And I think it's going to be a shootout between these two teams, but it's a home game for Detroit. I like the matchup better. I think I'm going to go with Jared Goff here. Then you got Sam Darnold, guys. We'll look at him. I do not like his matchup at all. The Texans are first against the quarterback. They are fifth against the pass. I'm not going anywhere near that. Yeah, so C.J. Stroud, I could see easily being the highest scored player possibly this week. I don't think he will be, but I could see it happening, if that makes sense. I guess I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up being the highest scorer, but I don't think that he will be. Yeah, Seattle's 19th against the quarterback position. They are 23rd against the pass. I like C.J. Stroud. He was a Buckeye. I like him. But I think I'm going with Goff here, most likely. The running backs is where it gets difficult. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, is going to be the highest owned running back, and also for good reason. Buccaneers are 20th against the running back position, 21st against the pass, and he's averaged 17.2 fantasy points a game. So I think he'd be probably the best back on the slate. We got White here, guys. He's averaging 11.5 fantasy points a game. The Lions are 6th against the running back position, 17th against the pass. Just out of pure usage, I think he could be a good option to pick as running back. But I don't love the matchup, so I'm not going to be playing him. Kenneth Walker III, I think is a good running back, but he hasn't produced a whole lot this year. I think more so because of usage and things like that, but I could be wrong. I haven't watched a whole lot of Seattle football this year. The Texans are 8th against the running back. They are 5th against the pass, and that's not what we're looking at, so I need to go back. They are 7th against the rush. So I don't love the matchup there for him, but, anything could happen, right? I do like David Montgomery, and I almost could see playing David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, but for salary reasons, I don't believe that I will. We have Marks here, guys, who's possibly going to see an uptick in play. It looks like their coach is saying that if they can establish their run game, then he'll get an uptick in play, possibly. But how are they going to how's he going to establish the run game if they're not running it? I guess through Nick Chubb. So is he saying that they're going to run Nick Chubb, and if they can get Nick Chubb going, then they'll play Woody Marks? I'm not sure. Or is he saying we're going to play Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, and if they're playing well, then we'll keep using them? I'm not sure what he's trying to say there, but in week 4, he really tore it up. He had 27.9 fantasy points, which makes me want to play him. But then their last game, they played Baltimore, and it was a good matchup, and I did play him, and he did squat because they kept running Nick Chubb. And I don't want to say he did squat, guys. He didn't do a whole lot. And Nick Chubb really didn't either, fantasy point-wise, but he got more carries, I believe. Yeah, so I'm probably going to end up playing one of those two guys just because of salary reasons. Thought about even playing Sean Tucker because of salary reasons and just kind of punting at running back, to be honest with you, because the wide receivers, there's so many good wide receivers here that I want to play, and there's just only so much salary cap to use. So you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who averages 22 fantasy points a game. The Buccaneers are 16th against the wide receiver, 21st against the pass. I will be playing him this week. I like him. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I hate the matchup. Texans are 4th against the wide receiver, 7th against the pass. I am tempted to not play him, except he averages 23.6 fantasy points a game. And the last 2 weeks, he has had over 30 fantasy points. So week 6, he had 33.2. Week 5, he had 30.2. And his worst game this season was 13 points, and that happened to be the only game that he had less than 20 fantasy points. So I feel like you have to play him. He's going to be very chalky. And then that moves me on to Nico Collins. I think I want to play Nico Collins here. Already told you I thought Stroud could do good. Seattle's 20th against the wide receiver, 23rd against the pass. I like Nico Collins here. I also want to play Egbuka, who has done very well this year. The Lions are 25th against the wide receiver, 17th against the pass. Chris Godwin Jr. is out. Egbuka is questionable, so you'd want to see if he's actually going to play or not. But I like him here. However, Mike Evans is also supposed to be back this week. I don't know if they'll keep him on a snap count, but it's looking like he's likely to play in this game. So I could see him doing good as well. But I like these other top 3 the most. Also like Jameson Williams here, averaging 10.2 fantasy points a game. Last week he had 18.6. Because the questionableness of these wide receivers and things like that, the injuries, and even without the injuries, I think Sterling Shepard could be at play. Christian Kirk is out, so that changes things in Houston. You got Xavier Hutchinson, maybe that comes into play. Maybe Higgins, Jaden Higgins. Anyways, guys, I like Nico Collins there. And the tight ends, it's the same thing. I don't know who to pick. I like Dalton Schultz matchup probably the best, but he's only averaging 7.9 fantasy points a game. Seattle's 24th against the tight end, 23rd against the pass. He did get 11 fantasy points last week, or in their last game. I guess that was the week before last, but I like Schultz here. I don't like Cade Otton here, and I think a lot of people do. He got 10.1 fantasy points in week 6, 12.1 in week 5. But the Lions are 14th against the tight end, 17th against the pass. I want to see more from him. I don't want to play a guy who's averaging 5.3 fantasy points a game. I guess that's what I'll say. Then you got A.J. Barner down here, who's been playing very good football. Week 5, he actually had 24.3 fantasy points. But the Texans are 5th against the tight end and 5th against the pass. So it makes me want to play him less. But out of the usage, I could see you playing him. And then, of course, you got Sam Laporta here at the top, who averages 11.7 fantasy points a game. Last week, he had 16.5. Week 5, he had 20.2 fantasy points. And the Buccaneers are 20th against the tight end and 21st against the pass. So I like Sam Laporta the best, but because of salary reasons, I don't think that I'm going to be playing him. If I put Gibbs in here, and guys, looking at the defenses, the 2 defenses I like is the Lions, or I'm sorry, not the Lions. It's actually the Seahawks who I like the most, and then it would be the Texans. The Seahawks average 9.5 fantasy points a game. That's why. They have one game where they had -3 fantasy points. Other than that, they haven't gone below eight points. So that's why I like them. And then the Texans have been doing very well as well. They have 14 in week 4 and 11 in week 5, averaging 8.6. Seattle's 7th against the defense, though. I think I'm going to end up going with the Texans because of salary reasons. And I'm going to try to end this video quick. I don't want to go 19 minutes like I did on the other one that I'm not going to end up uploading. But I'm going to just throw the Texans in there for the sake of time, guys. And then I ended up I had Nick Chubb in here. And this is just because of salary reasons, guys. I ended up throwing in Khalif Raymond down here for salary reasons. It has Tesla, I think, listed as the 3rd receiver, but I think if you get on their website, it's actually Khalif Raymond. I think he's coming back from an injury. I think he's supposed to get a little more usage in this game, or some usage, I should say. Coming back from the injury, guys. Don't want to fall asleep on you. Yeah. So I got Khalif Raymond. That leaves 2,600 for a tight end. That basically is kind of almost punting at the last 3 positions just to get all these guys in this lineup that I like up top here. But that would leave me a few backup tight end options. Bates did good last week, but that was, I think, because they had such a high lead that they played their third string tight end. And then outside of that, the one that I'm probably going to end up playing here is Brock Wright, because he's had 2 games thus far this season that he has got touchdowns. Outside of that, he really hasn't gotten much usage. So it's kind of hard to want to play him, but just for the sake of giving you guys a full lineup, these are most of the players that I like. Give me your thoughts, though, guys. I would like to know your thoughts as to who you just will not. Well, no, not even who you would not fade. Just tell me who you would feel most comfortable fading, if you don't mind, in the comments, because I'm trying to figure out who of these top guys I want to fade to play some other players that I like. But anyways, guys, I wish you the best. I hope it goes well for you tonight. I really do. And I would appreciate it if you put in the comments who you would not mind fading, because thus far I'm yet to figure out which one of these guys I would fade. I thought it was Gibbs, but I don't think I could fade him tonight. And Jigba is one I thought I could fade, but when I tried to fade him the last time, that really backfired. And it was simply because of matchup. Or no, it wasn't because of the matchup. He actually had a good matchup that game. I just liked somebody else better and it ended up not working out. Yeah, it was last week. I played Puka Nakua instead of Jackson Smith and Jigba. Puka got hurt, and yeah. Anyways, you see how that went. So have a good one, guys. I appreciate you watching. If you'd like to subscribe, I would appreciate it. I realize this video was pretty rough, even the second one that I made, but this salary kind of makes it hard with these players. So, all right, guys, I'll talk to you next time. Thanks.